not just like, oh yeah, crochet lady. Katlia loves crochet lady. Crochet lady, I love crocheting, but I make one blanket every 8 months, which some people do that as a business plan where it comes out when it comes out.
Yeah.
So it just depends, on the
On what you
quality.
want to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that
Oh, what you want to
too.
do. So,
But I guess that kind of segues into number two, where it's identify problems you can solve. So that's where you're taking the idea and the passion and actually seeing what business you can turn it into. So typically, like all entrepreneurs or mentors are going to ask you, like, what problem are you solving? And that's just a way to get your mind thinking of what your mission statement is and what your main message is to the potential customers that you're going to sell your product to or service, whatever it is. So it's super important that you take the idea that you originally have or the interest or passion that you enjoy doing and that you're about, and then see what you can solve. So that's kind of when you start to dive more into like looking into certain factors that might be against you or for you, because you're trying to see what your immediate audience will gravitate towards and what you could potentially make money off of. Which the rest of these steps like go further into that, but I think it's just a nice pivot point where you take the idea and the passion and just are like, all right, what am I solving? Like,
yeah.
what am I actually selling people?
Right. Yeah, and I think that, when we were in school and everyone's like, not everyone, but your teacher's like, do a SWOT analysis. And you're just like, when am I ever going to use this in my life? This is kind of like an unofficial SWOT analysis,
Yeah.
because the purpose of finding the problem. So you look at other apps, you look at other candles, and you find the problem, meaning like what's wrong with it, right? And that's where you find the opportunity. So,
Yeah.
and in that opportunity is where you make the money. I know this sounds obvious, but sometimes it's overlooked when you start following your passions.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, not to point out my human, but I'm just going to choose music. Like a lot of people just fall into, they grow up playing music. They now are pursuing music professionally, but what problem are you solving? And I think my boyfriend's actually done really well with, making the money where there is a lack of music. And then that way he could spend his other chunk of work time doing the fun music gigs.
Yeah.
So,
And the problem could be simple. Like the problem could just be this one neighborhood doesn't have access to music or
right.
live music. So now I'm going to be the only one. Or the problem could just be like that something already exists, but it could be a little better. So now your product is going to show that it can be better and offer that to people. So it could be, it could be something very small scale. It doesn't have to be this like huge problem you're solving and you're saving the world.
Right.
So that's a good example with the music too.
Yeah, because a lot of times people are just like, oh, I want to play for Billie Eilish or The Weeknd or whatever, And I'm sure you can position that in a way to solve a problem, but that becomes such a passion-driven statement. Whereas if you want to say, I want to play music professionally and this area doesn't have music, like Sasha said, that's solving a problem. But that's not going to take 80 hours of your time. Maybe that takes 40.
Yeah.
Sorry, you got to work extra because you're a musician. And then the other 15 can be spent playing at cool venues or like, like the status gigs, like, I got to dress up cool, mic check, sound check, whatever. But you still got to make your money.
Yeah.
So yeah, I definitely think the problem thing that's a very important one. So
yeah, it's the pivot. It's like, all right, now we're serious.
Yes. Now even if you are just doing it for fun, this all takes like if you're just keeping it as a fun thing, even just taking half a day